Today's guest is Helena Carrizosa, who is a true Renaissance woman as the founder of three businesses, as well as a spiritual life and business coach who elevates creative entrepreneurs and companies. She works as a catalyst for intuitive and human potential, where creative and fashion professionals, along with SMEs, can reach their goal of a more sustainable future and do this while aligning with the flow of life to essentially thrive. So, Helena, thank you very much for being on. How are you today?
Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm
Uh,
very good. Very
you're
good.
very welcome. I mean, it's an impressive bio. Anybody who comes on here that's saying, that they've started three businesses and are doing cool things, it's always a good to have as a guest. So, I'd love for you to just break down for us, what is your journey to going into three business and having such a heart-centered mission. Floor is yours for that.
Wow. Yeah. So where do I start? So basically, I started with fashion in back in Bogota, Colombia, and then I moved to Paris, where I carry on studying fashion for 3 years. I lived there. And then I moved to the UK, where I started my own fashion label. It's a small fashion label of slow fashion. And then I was seeing how the waste of the company, the waste was, it was really bothering me that it was creating. So then I created another project that collects the waste and creates objects and art. So exactly nothing goes to waste. So like to create circular economy. So I was collecting the waste from my colleagues that were throwing things away and my waste. So I mean, at some point it became crazy, to be honest. So I was making really big pieces full of it, and so that's one of the projects that is called Circo Proyecto. And then I also do a bit of art, and some of this art was from this waste. So again, on the same circle. And then 3 years ago, I started as a life coach, life and business coach. And it has been an amazing journey. Yeah. So that's where I am today.
Beautiful. I mean, it's such a, like there's always that story of like you're gonna looking back, like you can kind of connect the dots. But I'm assuming in those moments, it's like very move to one country, move to another country, do this, do that. It's just like you're following the strings
Yeah.
that are in front of you, and I think that's super cool and is super reflective of so many entrepreneurs' journey. So, just to then bring that to the present, what is, I guess, out of all of those businesses, which is the one that you're having most challenges in that you wanted to bring today?
So the one that I'm going to bring today is probably the coaching business. Because again, it's been only 3 years, and I absolutely love it. It feels really like a calling, but obviously it has its challenges, and we are not all born business savvy. So I do love entrepreneurship. I don't know how to pronounce that. And so I love a lot of parts from that, but that doesn't mean that you are good at it or anything. And I am more of a creative mind anyway. So it's kind of trying to find that balance has been a challenge, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what is the challenge that you're experiencing in the coaching business?
Challenges.
Challenges? Sure. You
Yeah.
can bring them all in here. That's fine.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, the main challenge is, I mean, as often, and that happens to when I speak to many coaches, is it's finding your clients or how they can find you as well. In a nice organic way, because there are a lot of techniques and tools out there. Everybody has their own master technique of how to do this, but something that aligns with me, that is kind of, again, more organic, more authentic, that has been kind of for me the challenge, to find that through all the noise, because there's so much information of how to do it, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So it's, again, and I work with intuition, it's kind of with my intuition trying to work out which one is the one that I want to do. And some things has worked, but discovering some patterns that I have, like I love creating things, but then I put it there and then I run away. And so it's not sufficient, of course, to make it work. And I have kind of this and patience side of me that I just wanted to work quickly, and if it doesn't, then I move to the next idea. And I'm not short of ideas, but obviously I cannot just create and build and not put it out there as it should be. So that's me being the challenge. That's why. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So then just to kind of make sure that I've heard you correctly. So you know that this business, the coaching, there's a deeper reason why you're like attracted to it, right? Like I want to do this for a deeper reason that fills my soul. I think that part's pretty clear. And in order to do that, I need people to do it with, and I'm having a hard time either finding those people or mattering to the people that need me most. And in that process, I've tried to figure out how to do that, but, and this is the part that I'm going to ask you for some more clarity on, is it I've tried a lot of things and a lot of things don't align with me, or is it I've not been able to find the thing just by like looking out into the marketplace and seeing what aligns with me, or I just try my own thing but it doesn't really work, so then I doubt, do I need like another thing, or is it none of those and something specific to you? Like, can you just elaborate a little bit more on that piece?
It's kind of a little bit of all. It's kind of a little bit of all, because I mean, now I have taken some actions, and the actions that I've taken are going to take a little bit longer. So I have found, beauty. I've worked with beautiful clients already, but how to find that constant flow of clients, that's the part that is challenging. So right now I've started writing, which was very scary for me. And recently I started a podcast, which was completely very, very scary for me. So I started these two things. So little by little, that would put kind of my work out there. So now let's say I need to promote them, which I haven't done so much. I put on my social media, and again, I go away. And what else I've been doing, and a lot of the tools that I've heard, it just really doesn't resonate with me. They're either very aggressive, very, how can I say, there's a lot of things like you should do, there's a lot of pressure in it. And the word organic for me is my dream, to find that organic thing, which I think with the articles and the podcast feels organic to me, because it's about sharing ideas, and I love sharing ideas more than just spending my time creating posts or, I don't know. So, and another thing that everybody suggests is to start talking to people. And it's always daunting, that initial connection with them, with what reason, for what reason. And that's the part also that puts me off a lot doing it, because it feels kind of not authentic for me. So yeah, I don't know.
Got it. Okay. So how do you feel when you create art?
I'm in flow. I love it. It just makes me happy, and it's exciting. I love to create new things. This is the thing. I love creating new things. So getting stuck in only one, it's a challenge. But yeah, I feel I go into flow. I feel it excites me. I'm repeating myself, but I don't know. I'm trying to find something different.
Okay. I mean, if it's that, it's that. I mean, it's up to
Yeah,
you. But
let's
yeah.
leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay. And how many people see your art?
Not many. I've done some exhibitions, but they're just small exhibitions. Yeah.
And if you look at all of the art you've created in your life, what's the percentage of art that you just enjoy creating for yourself versus art that you share with people?
I've shared it all with people. Is that the question? Everything that I've created, I share it. It's just like, as always, I just kind of put it on the website, and then I move on to the next one. I don't really stay with it and promote it and show it more. So I show it once, that's enough. Next.
So do you show it and actively show it, or do you just post and hope that somebody sees it?
Exactly.
Okay. So is that really showing? Like, is it a real honest effort to show your art?
No.
Okay. And in terms of feeling, where do you feel more alive, creating the art or showing the art?
Creating the art, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Which
mean,
is fair.
showing is exciting. Let's say if it's an exhibition or if I do fashion, doing the catwalk or the photo shoot, it's super exciting, really exciting. But that lasts like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting high, burns out really quickly, and then
Yeah.
off it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, when I asked you the question about the percentages, like you didn't really give me a concrete percentage.
Yeah.
Like your brain went to, well, yeah, I do. Of course, because it's like we started this conversation by first saying, when you create art, do you show it? No, I don't really show it. Okay, what percentage do you show versus not show? Well, no, I show all of it, right? So there's also a disconnect there with regards to how your brain is processing
Yeah.
your association with showing, posting, exhibiting.
Yeah.
It's not 100% clear from the outside looking in. So before I go on, what lands for you there?
Um, I don't know. It's yeah, maybe that I'm not, that I kind of I don't focus on what I need to focus, or I just change it to the way I want to change it, but I don't see it the way it is or the way it has to be. I don't know. Weird things are coming to my mind.
But that's fair, right? Like, like, do you see how the sense of lack, like, there's a lack of clarity
Yeah.
around how I actually feel about this,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the reason that I ask you these questions is there's a part of you that is extremely genuine and obvious that like I love to create. I'm in my complete flow and authentic self when I'm in the mode of creation.
Yeah.
Everything that you describe about going public, the activities needed to really be visible is 110% creation. So I am okay to create, and I will use the words in hiding, and I don't believe you hide, but like let's just say in the shadows,
Yeah.
but in the spotlight, that's hit and miss, especially for something that is me. And you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Like my coaching is me, like I'm selling me, whereas potentially if I'm selling an art piece or fashion, it is me, but it is me through the
Yeah.
medium.
Yeah.
So it's one step removed, right? Like
Yes.
the light is on the thing that I created. It's not on me.
Yeah. That was very comfortable. More
Yes.
comfortable. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So now with the coaching is very scary too, because that's one of my fears, to put myself on the spotlight.
Okay. So do you see how fear of being in the spotlight
Hmm.
is going to create a lot of friction when I'm trying to find the marketing tactic, all of which are going to make me visible, but I don't align with any single one of them?
Yeah.
So could it be that maybe you actually align with a lot of them, but you're distorting your view with all of them because you're fearful of the outcome of doing it properly?
100%. There's a percentage.
Okay. Right. Okay. Then there's a percent. Fair enough. So what's well, okay. So actually, let's rewind. So why don't you tell me? Why don't you summarize your realization there? Like, what did you think the problem was? What came up at this stage?
that the, which is probably what we mentioned. It's because there is the fear that I have to put myself on the spotlight. It's actually, yeah, distorting the view of these other opportunities that might be there that can work for me, um, because the fear is doesn't let me see other way around it, or don't let me see, yeah, this, try these opportunities, that also, if they work, then that could bring success. And that's something that I was gonna say I used to be afraid, but there might be So some things that are remaining, although I feel a lot better with it. Like before, I was really not comfortable with the idea, and I was so happy to be in the shadows. So yes, that fear of being in the spotlight is definitely reducing my opportunities.
Got it. And maybe to just add nuance to that,
Hmm.
I have gotten somewhat comfortable with the spotlight on my creations, but I have not healed the part of me that is fearful of being seen when the spotlight is on me.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's still, but I've taken the two big steps that I think is part of the healing, because the writing in a little bit, but mostly the podcast was a huge step for that. Huge step, because it's really putting my ideas out there. And so I had a lot of fear before doing it, but I really felt again kind of a pull to do it, um, that I wasn't expecting. So I've taken that big step into saying, and I did it, and then it's like, it's okay. And through doing it, I've healed a lot. That it's gonna be fine. It's okay. I'm safe. Yeah.
100%. And I commend you for that, because it's a step into embodying the courage to like move past this fear. So I'm not discounting that. And it's 100%. This is more about just looking at, okay, where is it still present and where is it acting up?
Yeah.
So how would you word this as a problem inside of your business?
Oh wow. Um, wow. Well, the problem will be that because of that fear, then I'm basically not promoting at all my business. I'm a little bit, but not enough. Um, so it's not allowing really people to find me, because I am not putting myself out there. Yeah. And I kind of really like this idea of people finding the information, connecting with the information, and then wanting to connect with you more than we chasing people. Yeah, I really like the idea of them finding me, but at the same time, I'm not putting myself out. So that's the problem. Yeah.
Right. So going
Realize-
back to,
but
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm realizing this, actually. I never saw it that way. That I really prefer when they find again my content, and then they want to work with me. I love that. I would love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So going back to, I'm an intuitive entrepreneur. I want to be in flow and create. And I would love to matter to the people that need me most. But all these marketing tactics don't resonate with me. And there's so many of them and it's overwhelming. Yet the most obvious one that is fully in line with your creative artistic self, which is I put my creations out there for people to find me, is the one you are most fearful of actually doing.
Yes, how great.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what does that tell you about how you've been trying to solve this problem?
Yeah. Um, well, that's why I'm in a loop, basically, because I am not really, how can I say, because I didn't have this. I mean, I think this was a important thing to see it in this way. Now I realize that I was not doing the right things to solve it. I mean, the right things that were more, that excite me were more in alignment with me, which is what I just mentioned. But just putting it that way just meant a lot, actually. Yeah.
Okay. And what comes up when you say it meant a lot?
Because I think that's the organic part that I was talking about. When we talk about organic marketing, it's all of that. There are many ways, there are many things. It's a range of things we can talk about. But that one felt really organic and really authentic and really exciting, because I love the idea of inspiration and inspiring people. And so if someone finds the content, gets inspired, that is amazing. Whether they contact me or not, it's okay. But if, let's say, they get inspired, I'm realizing this now, I'm already giving something that for me is important, and it's to inspire, to empower people. Again, obviously we love to work with them, but again, if they take that with them, that's already beautiful. And I hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen marketing in that way. And I think I like seeing it in this more holistic, kind of nice way, rather than the more aggressive things that normally comes to me. Like, yeah.
Right. So it kind of sounds to me like the vision here is like, if I could create my marketing to be my art, then it would be an authentic expression of myself.
Yeah. And that sounded really cool, how you put it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
Like the
if we,
marketing creation.
sorry, say that again, the marketing, like the creatives of like what you put out.
Yeah, like the marketing, the way I marketed, it becomes a creation in itself.
Correct. Like that becomes your digital art.
Yeah, let's put it like a digital art. Exactly. Yeah.
Correct. So if we then go back to kind of the core of this, which is this fear of shining, what's so scary about shining?
Oh, a lot of things.
Usually it is, yes.
Yeah, of course. Well, I've traced plenty of things back, childhood, of course. But and and there's always the core that we all have about, and is the one for me. There are two things with the shining. One is, you suddenly, there's a lot of expectations there, a lot more expectations, and I think that one is the heaviest for me. The expectations that maybe people are gonna put, and then that I put on myself as well, both ways, and having to meet those expectations. So that's why every time I always did very well on something and people noticed, suddenly I became the worst. I had coaching sessions on that, because it was kind of, what's going on with me? I was doing really well. They noticed, and suddenly I was the worst in the class of whatever. So there's the expectations, and on the other side, I think it comes from when I was little, of having people maybe feeling envious, and then if they're envious, and they will reject you, and then it's kind of that memory emotion of rejection that is attached to that I've pointed out as well. Yeah, those are kind of the two mains.
So it kind of sounds like this is very much a protective pattern. Like when I shine, there's like a turtle response. Like I just retract back in my shell.
Yes.
Right. Just like with the whole art thing. Yeah. Like I love making it, but then like, let me just throw it out there, and I don't know, it'll do whatever it's going to do. And it's like, like I will, like, it's kind of like I'll throw it into the light while I run back into the backstage and like hide.
Absolutely. That's my move. Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at that now as the pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zooming out again, how is this a problem inside of your business?
Sorry, say that again.
So like if we zoom out now, like you kind of see the pattern itself. This has been a lifelong pattern. I've addressed it in certain contexts, but now it's stopping the growth I'm experiencing in my business. Okay. How would you define it as a problem inside of your business?
How will I define it as a problem? Well, it's a problem because how can I have a business that nobody knows anything about? So then it's a problem, especially with No, with both actually. With the art and with coaching, it will be the same. No, it's not. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, the problem is that I'm not allowing myself to express myself, to express fully, let's say, because I do it, but in kind of inwards or in safe spaces. But it's kind of express myself now in a more broader space, and that is limiting not only me but my business as well.
Okay. So that's limiting my business in terms of the problems you mentioned before, right? So nobody, like a business nobody knows anything about. If
Yeah.
I don't promote anything, then people can't find me. So it's limiting my business growth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And in what ways is that limiting your business growth more than finding the right strategy or doing the right marketing tactic?
Well, because it's the same. What's if I don't want to put myself out there, then no tactic and no strategy is gonna be worth worth of using, right?
Correct. So
Right.
it's if I'm fearful of using the tool,
Yeah.
somebody can give me the best tool, I
Yeah.
will not use it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you see the connection between, like you said, okay, I've been working on this for 3 years. And in those 3 years, clearly you've overcome or come to a lot of different marketing tactics. Some you feel are aggressive, some you feel are organic, some are in between, some I kind of tried. You see how that is a search for tools. Like, what is the right tool that's going to make me feel safe to never shine? Is essentially what your subconscious was asking the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking this, because it's like, how is this a problem? And what it sounds like is right now, I'm spending a lot of energy searching for tools, while as the tool facilitator, I'm actually scared to use any tool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what lands for you there?
Wow. That well, the best part, the highlight was like how I was finding tools that actually that will not allow me to shine. So that because they were safe, I was finding probably tools that were safe. I mean, to be fair as well to myself as well, I've only started kind of really promoting like a year and a half, because before I was just learning and practicing.
Okay, but even just pause right there.
Yes.
It is fair, right? Like, out of the 3 years that I mentioned, half of it was spent like learning my craft. Absolutely fair.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
there is part of my brain that is willing to accept 18 months of following the exact same pattern of limitation and just discount it as, oh no, but it's okay. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I only bring that up as like a potential red flag of like, is this really the standard that is going to elevate you to transcend this fear and step into your highest self and have that vision of marketing as art? Or is that the standard and attitude that's maybe at some point going to make you slowly creep up to that bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
So,
what's coming up for you there?
yeah, no, absolutely. It's kind of that dangerous line of um of not letting again my brain fall into the same trap as we were just talking. Um I guess I don't see perhaps please correct me what you say, but I don't see perhaps anything wrong finding a good strategy that is little by little in a safe way put takes me out, but as at least that is taking me out more, right? Which is probably when that's why when I talk about the podcast, it's kind of that slow bringing myself out in a safer way, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then, but obviously not saying just there, because there are other things that I want to do or offer, that might require maybe other techniques, other tools.
Correct. So I actually agree with you on that. And there is a nuance that I would invite you to also consider is that is just a better version of looking at the tools. And here's what I mean, right? You spent a year and a half looking for the marketing tactic or the tool that's essentially going to keep my wounding safe and never allow me to shine.
Mm-hmm.
You recognize, okay, well, that's a problem. That's not going to work because I still don't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Starting the podcast, doing the writing,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely are the steps in the right direction, because by virtue of doing them, you will get exposure to healing this fear.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah.
The consequence of that is you can heal that particular context, just like you did with the art and the fashion. I've done it enough time, so like I've proven to my system it's not scary.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can go down that road, and like you said, that's a slow road that requires a lot of repetition, that's going to require a lot of exposure to rejection, meaning you're going to hear a lot of crickets early on to this, and that's natural. It's a normal part of this process.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I'm adding the nuance that that's just another way to find a better tool is when I asked you about the fear of shining, right? You were talking about, okay, so I have these expectations of that people have of me and that I have of myself when I show up. Soon as people notice, I retract. So like that turtling pattern, right? People will be envious and they will reject me. The core issues that powers the fear isn't addressed no matter how much exposure you get comfortable with. It's like I get better at using the tools. I will probably have some results using the tools.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a gamble on whether that is going to be enough exposure, or the exposure will be done in a way that'll actually heal the core wounding.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what we're talking about here is that we need to heal the wound first and foremost.
Correct.
Right.
And I knew as a coach you would understand that. The reason why I wanted to break it down for you like that is to just point out where your brain defaults to. It defaults to another tool, and it defaults to discounting the actual impact of this, right? Like what I told you about the 18 months. Oh, it's cool. Like, yeah, 18 months of just kind of like where we're kind of like making baby steps. No problem. Like we can do this like 10 more years. You know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds funny and silly when it's reflected back,
Yeah.
but the reason that I'm pointing it out to you is like, what could you have done in 18 months if you really lived marketing is my art and did it visibly in the same way that you do it privately? Like, would you be in the same spot in the next 18 months?
No, no, I don't think so. No.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Because when you speak about creation, like your whole energy lights up.
Yeah.
When you speak about visibility, it's the exact opposite.
No, of course, but to agree to also one of your points about the core wounding, all this time as well has been about healing that as much as possible, right? And right now I'm telling the story and I'm bringing everything that I'm feeling and stuff like that at those moments. But if I hadn't like healed a lot of that, I wouldn't have done the podcast
Yes,
at all.
100%.
And right now it's probably because the exciting thing is now because I am that moment where I can sense that, I'm safe. It's fine. I've survived many things in my life. This is not going to kill me. This is okay, right? And now I have my circle. I have myself most of foremost, and I know I can survive these things. But I needed to acknowledge all that, go through all that process, and that's why for me it feels like the podcast is the catalyst of now me saying exactly what you're saying. So now we're not going to do another 18 months like that, because now that this is kind of open up, so now I can be open to these new tools that we're talking about. Again, as long as they're in alignment with me, as long as they are not feeding the fear, but just in alignment and not, yeah, and in an
Correct.
organic, fun way. Because I want to make it fun. I don't want to a lot of people around me do the marketing with pain and they're stressed. I don't want that. So as long as I find something fun that doesn't feed my fear, because I was spot on that you said you can, as I have to be something that keeps me in that cocoon or that fear, but that is fun and it's in alignment, then yeah. And this is the moment that hopefully that's going to change moving forward. But you've pointed a lot of really good things to think about. Yeah.
Sure. And I do agree with you. And the progress you have made on your own, like that needs to be acknowledged, right? And I know that in a container like this, like my job is to, microscope and nitpick at the way
And
that things are showing up like
yeah,
right now, right? So
yeah,
I'm not at all discounting the progress that you've made or the good decisions to transcend these aspects, right? So 100%, I acknowledge you for it. And I applaud you for bringing that to the table as well, because it is extremely relevant. This is more about, given the current landscape, given what surfaced right now, these are the things that I see, and that could ultimately just reinforce the same pattern as opposed to give you the space to actually move into transcending all of this. So
yeah.
does
No,
that distinction make sense?
no, absolutely, and I love it. And I just wanted to point out. Um, so, but I know I love that you're challenging every little bit of it, because I love that. So, and I need that. So, no, please carry on with that. And I just wanted to kind of for myself, like, no, but come on, it's that. I
Yeah,
mean,
that makes
but
me very popular. So yeah,
also
100%.
kind of, so we know, so as well what has happened as well. You have the full picture of the thing. Yeah.
100%. So the only other part I wanted to just circle back to is when you mentioned, okay, so one of the problems here is like I'm not allowing myself to essentially express myself authentically and to express myself fully. That's obviously limiting my business growth. You also mentioned it's limiting my personal growth. Okay, so in what ways is that problem of not fully expressing yourself in your business also limiting your personal growth?
Well, in the personal growth, because in a way, we come back to that wound, right? The more we run away from it with these techniques that we create as humans to protect ourselves, is not healing that. And the moment we heal that fully, or fully, is we are growing. But sometimes in order to heal it, we need to actually go through the situation so we see that it's okay and there's nothing to fear about. And that's when taking ourselves out of that comfort zone, it's a moment of growth, personally and as a business and as an entrepreneur as well. So it's finding those moments of taking myself out of that safety net that I've created for myself. But it's like acknowledging these patterns, because sometimes, even if, like I was saying, like, no, okay, I'm starting to do this, there are also sometimes patterns, which that's why it was really cool to talk to you, that you can spot other patterns that might be running, that because we're so familiar to them, we don't realize that they are actually still attached to that same way of being and way of doing. So
Correct.
yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, it always is, and it's a never-ending one. So I agree with you on that. So, for the sake of like this container or the awareness around this issue, like, does this feel complete for you, or is there still something left outstanding?
um, what do you see?
It's less about what I see and what you feel right now. Like, to me, the pattern's very clear. To me, like, I can see the domino that once you knock that domino out, it's going to open up so much expansion within your business. So it's clear to me, but it's irrelevant what's clear to me. It's more what's clear for you. So that's kind of why I'm asking, like, does it feel clear? Does it feel complete, or is there still something left outstanding?
No, it feels clear. I mean, I asked in case you were seeing something that I was not seeing, but no, it feels clear, like you said. That part of that pattern, let's say, it's clear. It's clear that it's a process, that I am in that process. But it was good to understand many things like that, of creating that marketing, or putting myself out there to make it as a creation, as a creative thing, but also for people to find the content, and to find the work. Now, on the process of finding people, I don't know if that is, if we're talking about the same thing, the same patterns, or if that is a different thing, or if, I don't know. How can I ask that?
Well, what do you intuitively feel? Do you feel like they're related or not?
Related
So the question that I'm hearing, and again, you can correct me if I'm mishearing it, is I understand that the fear of shining is really at the crux of this business hurdle of getting out there,
Mhm.
right? And to me, it seems like, okay, well, the follow-up question then is, okay, fine, I can get out there and I can just put up all these things and I can overcome that fear, heal the wounding, etc. But then how do I find the people that actually need me? That how do I actually like go out and see where they are? Like, is that your next question?
Yes, yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, in the sense that I want to work with creatives and people that are kind of more open to spirituality. Um, and so yeah, there's this idea of obviously that they can, that they are available to the, how can I say that, because there's these belief, it's a very not healthy belief, but that creatives have no money, or stuff like that. um but
So
I think,
what's the internal feeling for you right now as you look for the words for the question?
yeah, the feeling is like it's like the thoughts are coming, but already have part of my brain saying, no, come on. That's not true. Stop it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the thoughts. So good observation. And what's the feeling? Like what's the body feeling around finding the words to ask this question?
Oh, wow. Yeah, the body feeling is, it was, I'm trying to remember what I was feeling at the moment. I don't know. I can't remember right now. I'm sorry. No, kind of a feeling of incertitude there. Certitude? Yeah. No, I don't know. I think I'm probably asking myself the question, answering probably myself as I am asking the question.
Possibly. So again, from the outside looking in, you are presented with a mirror that allows you to see, okay, these woundings from the past around shining are really the thing that is operating in the background that is distorting my ability to create the business that I know I'm capable of, namely in the promotion and visibility section. Nobody knows about me. Nobody knows how good I actually am.
Mhm.
As I am presented with that and about to move out of the container that grows that
Mhm.
transcends that moves that,
Mhm.
the first thing that comes up is essentially doubt. Even if I solve this, the people that I get to serve all don't have any money,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
To me, this is the same or a similar limiting part of you that showed up with the whole 18 months comment. Here's a solution to my problem. This is where I need to look. This is going to create the version of me that can solve this problem. Oh, but that's okay. Like, whatever. Like, I'm kind of moving through this. It's only taken me 18 months to like start a podcast. Now I'm going to move through that. Oh, but what's like, okay, yeah, we can do this and we can overcome this and transcend this, but my people aren't going to buy this anyway. Right? At the prospect of moving beyond this and essentially healing this wounding, do you see how then there's a deeper layer of freak out that's like, no, but this is gonna, like, don't go there. Right? And it's so pervasive that it's actually blocking you. Somebody who's very intuitive, and I know just from talking to you, this is not your first foray into doing inner work, but like, you can't even give me a concrete answer on what you're feeling. Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's blocking you from even accessing those parts.
Yeah.
So what comes up for you when I reflect that back?
Wow. That was really cool. Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Yeah. Well, there I feel relieved, kind of, to hear you say all that and kind of seeing it. There was a sense of relief, of like, yeah, stop that.
Okay. So now, just to kind of bring it more concretely, I'm going to ask you the same question. How is this a problem inside of your business?
It's not. I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
So in what way is it not?
it's it's a perception problem. It's not a problem. It's a perception of a problem.
Mhm.
It's my perception of my clients, what are they going to afford, because all creatives are poor. No, it's just a perception, but it's a perception of the, again, it's a perception of there is a problem there. It's a perception that if I succeed, if I do well, negative things will come attached to that. It's a perception that it's not, there's no problem there. It's just my mind protecting me. It's just, but that doesn't mean there is a problem.
Okay. And again, I'm just going to ask clarifying questions to make sure I understood you correctly. So there's no problem because this is just a viewpoint, a worldview, and a perception, essentially a limiting belief around who can or cannot afford me.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't see that as a problem inside of your business.
No, yes, of course. If I keep believing that, it creates a problem. Absolutely. And it's
Okay.
been,
So what problem does that create?
what problem does that create? It creates the problem that I cannot put myself out there, that I just don't share my work, that I
So
can.
pause right there. Is that really true?
No.
Like, the perception that creatives don't have money to pay me for my services, that's what's going to stop you from being visible.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it can't stop me.
Potentially. Potentially you can create 1,000 hours worth of content to release for free this year.
Hmm.
And creatives still won't be able to pay you. So is creatives can't pay me actually related to your visibility?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not
Okay.
at
So why is that perception a problem inside of your business?
What is that perception a problem
Inside of the business.
out of the business?
So if I carry this view, I don't transcend it, I don't break this limiting belief. Or put a different way, I've carried this perception because it just came out right now. So clearly it's been operating in the background. How is it a problem inside of your business right now?
Well, right now, that belief does create a problem, because then it means that it's not that I'm not going to put myself out there, but I'm not going to try hard to market my things. Um, and the thing is that I don't want to go energetically, but if energetically, I don't feel like the people are there. It's like I'm already blocking it for it to flow, and kind of for people to, yeah, to find not the right people, but the people that can obviously uh, afford that.
So if I can just add to that, you can let me know if this resonates.
Yeah.
My fears around shining my light in visibility create the problem in my business that nobody's going to ever find me. My limiting belief that creatives can't afford what I do is a sales problem. Everybody's going to find me, but nobody can buy what I offer. So what's the point of doing all this work for people to find me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So now if you rewind this conversation, when I originally asked you this new limiting belief that came up, is it actually a problem? Your immediate response was no, this is not a problem at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if it was a miscommunication, I'm happy with that too.
No,
But
no, no. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. Of course, it's completely a problem. I was trying to think where did my brain went at that moment to say that it wasn't a problem.
yeah, so the
Yeah,
reason why I've asked you this question, and I'm really like anal about diving
go for
deeper
it.
into this,
Yeah.
is your default to hide the truth from yourself is very insidious. Because literally this one, like the attitude was very innocent. Oh, this is just a perspective. Like it's not a problem at all. Right? It's a massive problem because it literally paints the picture of how can I possibly experience abundance in my business
Mm.
if even I overcome my fear of visibility
Yeah.
and I create marketing that is art?
Yeah.
What's the point? Nobody can actually afford
Yeah.
what it is that I do, right? And this is not going into even deeper things, that the reason and the way that we got to that conclusion
Mm.
was because I had to hold up the mirror and tell you, look at how quickly another part of you just puts a veil on your perception and
Mm.
just basically gives you a very rational reason, like, oh, don't look there, that's fine, just go over there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this part exists for good reason, because I know it's trying to protect you from truth, from emotional pain, and we can go down the road of like, how old is this part, etc. That's the
Yeah.
process of healing this part.
Mm.
But in this present moment, to the adult version of you,
Mm.
it's an extremely dangerous attitude that you've experienced as costing you 18 months of, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better word, low grade effort. Because
Mm.
I think if you could show up in the way that you create art privately, you would see a lot more abundance
Mm.
in your business.
Yeah.
But this protective covering part
Mm.
is a big contributor to you not realizing the patterns that I, from the outside looking in, could hold the mirror to you to see. So
Absolutely.
what lands for you there?
Oh my God. Like a bucket of cold water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot coming your way. So I acknowledge
No,
that as
I
well.
love
Yeah.
it. Oh, I love it. Honestly, that's what I need with when I'm coached. Um, it's yeah, it's kind of showing me in a clearer way my defenses mechanisms, um, and how they operate, and how sometimes I can try to rationalize it like I did when, like, no, I don't have a problem because it's probably a way of perspective, but if I remove the perspective, then it's not a problem. but I was going already too far before we need to accept that there is it is a problem, right? And then let's do the over rationalizing it later, which I tend to over rationalize too quickly before saying like, no, it is a problem, and um, and it all stems with the protection of what we all, yeah, of what we humans do, trying to protect ourselves in very creative ways and finding different ideas that will just make us feel protected. And
Correct.
the idea that that is not true, now I'm thinking about it, of the clients that is not true, then I feel nervousness. And I just
Yes.
felt the nervousness because like, oh, can I? No, I cannot swear here.
By all means, you can swear. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
yeah.
Like, oh shit, that means that I'm gonna be well, it means that I can now receive business and stuff and grow and grow and stuff. So
Yeah.
now,
And then just I'm gonna pause you right there because now that's another layer, right? Because that's actually the first feeling word you've mentioned all like this whole conversation. I actually feel nervous. So now there's this whole freak out about the fear of success, right? So now what does it mean to hold the responsibility of everybody looking at me? What does it feel to hold the responsibility of dealing with haters? What does it feel like? Now it's really opening up what the fear actually is beyond the protections. So I'd love to dive deeper into that too, but this is going to be outside the scope of like what we can do here. But just to close off this conversation, like, does that feel complete for you as far as like the clarity on like what the real business problems are and how you're contributing to them?
yes, and I'm sorry for the noise. Yes, it definitely it has a lot of clarity there. Thank you so much. Like a lot, a lot. Like seeing the whole thing and kind of, because you took me out, put me outside of it, and you laid it out on the table, and that was quite helpful, kind of to see it from that distance. So that's amazing.
You're
Absolutely.
very welcome. And then if you could just summarize for us in your own words, right? Like, what did you think your initial business problems were? And then through this conversation, what were like your aha moments or connections about what are the actual inner limitations contributing to it?
I never realized how those questions at the end are so daunting. Because we ask it to clients, but then when it's our turn, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, it's much more fun on this end than the other. I agree. I've been in both, but yeah, much more fun on this side.
yeah. So the problems that I had at the start was kind of these that I had identified for a long time, this fear of putting myself out there and succeed, and the problem of me needing to protect myself at all cost from the outside world, from sharing my business, from growing, from succeeding, which created other beliefs like my clients have no money. And now the big realizations have been, I guess, just that, just how we think we have identified how we protect ourselves, but then there's so many layers there as well, that can be just a small thought, just a small feeling, that I didn't felt at the beginning, but then after, when it was laid out, then it came through, kind of that nervousness or that something. So how we can even cover those feelings at that moment. um, but the aha moments have been to, yeah, those, seeing the patterns. It's gonna be hard to put it on words, but I've kind of see it and feel it, kind of the patterns that I was creating for myself to protect myself, how effective they were, and how they were a problem for my business. And how, but that pattern, it can help me to uncover more patterns along the line. So that was very helpful, incredibly helpful. And um, and just feeling the untruth of the situations more than just knowing it rationally, but kind of feeling into it.
Beautiful. So thank you very much for
Thank
the
you.
summary. And if you can then just close us off, let everybody know where to find you, who's the best person to find you. Here's your opportunity to practice being visible.
Thank you. Sure. So thank you so much. This has been absolutely amazing. I loved it, and people can find my work in my podcast called The Flow of Life, in Spotify, Apple, and many other places. You can search it, and also on Facebook and LinkedIn, and my own website, Helena Carrizosa Coaching, helenacarrizosa.com.
Beautiful. Well, as always, we'll include that in the show notes. But Helena, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming on and being as vulnerable as you were. And as always, for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much.